Okay, so now we're just going to remove the airbag itself. Now, if you're taking the airbag off, you want to make sure that this is always disconnected for at least 5 to 10 minutes, so that you don't have any problem with the airbag prematurely popping. All right, now to take the airbag out, I don't know if you can see it, but right up underneath here, let's see if you can get your light up there. Right up underneath here, there's a screw inside there, and there's another one underneath here, which we're going to get to once we turn the steering wheel. We're going to take those 2 screws out and we're going to remove the airbag. So all right, let's get set up and we'll continue. Okay, and now like I said, we're going to take out those 2 screws underneath the bottom right here. They are Torx. We take the airbag up and out, and then underneath the bottom, I'll show you real quick. Underneath the bottom, right here, there's a little clip inside there that needs to be removed. It's usually held in with a lock clip, so you pull the lock clip out first. Just like that. And then we depress this down here. Your lock clip has to be up all the way. We'll take that clip out, and now we can depress this little piece here down, and we can unplug the airbag, and we'll just take this and put this off to the side for now. Now we're going to take out this nut right here, and we're going to take out this little clip here. You just take it and you push it in, turn it, and you pull it out, and it comes right out just like that. Alright, the reason we did that is we don't want to break anything down underneath there. We're going to take out this wire from its lock, from its retainer, and we're just going to leave it just like that for now. Now remember, this is in the down position. What I always do here is I always mark where the steering wheel comes off and where it's got to go back on, because as you can see, the wheel is not straight here because I needed to get into these bolts underneath the bottom here. Now either you can straighten it out so it's straight, or you can do like I do and just mark it right here with a marker and make sure you put it back on the same way. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab a socket right now, and we're going to take that bolt out right there. So let me get a socket and we'll come right back. Okay, so we're going to take our marker. There's a little tiny notch, you can't see it, but there's a tiny notch in the top of the steering shaft right here. We're just going to mark it so that we put it back on the exact same way, like that. Alright, now we're going to take out that nut right there. I'm going to leave that nut on right now. Let's grab my steering wheel puller, and we'll continue. To do that is you just take your bolts, screw them in. You're going to catch them both in here, just like that. And now we'll snug it down just a little bit. Doesn't have to be real tight. You want to just snug it in there. Most of the time these steering wheels come off pretty easily. Alright, so now we're going to take our puller, and we're going to install our puller. I'll get it set up and then I'll bring you in there closer, show you how it works. Alright, just like that. And now what we're going to do is these bolts here are pulling the steering wheel up, and the centerpiece here is pushing it and holding it down. So now we'll just turn it. off. We'll take our pieces back off before we take it out, because we have to take that bolt out, or the nut I should say. Take our puller off. And we'll get this out of here. Alright, we'll take our nut off like this. Put this off to the side, and then our steering wheel just comes right off. Snake our airbag wire through like that, and we'll put this to the side for now. And now in here, I don't know if you can see it, let's bring you in there, I'll show you. Down inside here, there's a little tiny snap ring right there. We're going to grab our snap ring pliers and we're going to take that snap ring out, and that'll give us access to the switch, which is underneath the bottom. Now, remember where everything is going here, alright? So you don't have an issue. And that, when this comes out, do not rotate the outer ring. Don't rotate it because you don't want to damage the clock spring inside here. Alright, so let me grab the snap ring pliers and we'll take that off. Okay, now I will tell you that there's lots of different snap ring pliers out there. You'll have some that are angled, some that are slight angle, some that are straight. Whatever one works for you is going to be something that's not going to damage it or break anything while you're in here. Alright, so we're just going to turn this up a little bit so we can gain access to it pretty easily. I will warn you with these snap rings here, you got to be careful. You don't want this snap ring to go flying across the room, and then you're really screwed because you'll never find it. Alright, so make sure you're careful when you take it out. Alright, you just get underneath it a little bit, just like that, just to get it up a little bit. And then we're just going to come underneath it with a scribe, and we're just going to lift up each corner of it, little by little. Sometimes these are a little bit difficult to get out, but just take your time. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to lose it, and you don't want to break it. Now we'll just take this off, just like this. If you're going to remember where this goes, that's great. If you're not sure, put a little spot, a little mark, so that you know where it's going to go. And now we're just going to take this and we're just going to lift it up very little, just like this. And then this is the lock ring that we need to take off to gain access to that switch below. But let me get my steering wheel lock puller, and we need to take out, you see that little ring down in there, that little metal ring? We need to take that little metal ring out. So let me get my steering wheel depressor and we'll do that. We're just going to take off this little washer. We're going to remember that that washer went back on underneath the clock spring. Okay? And we take the depressing tool, put it over the top like this, screw it on. Now without this tool it is a little hard to do anything, so you're probably going to need it. I mean, if you're really strong you may be able to push it, but I doubt it. Alright, now we're just going to turn that down a little bit, just to give us a little bit of a push on the lock ring here. Now, this calls for glasses. Now that little clip down there is a little tight, so we're going to try to get in here with a little tiny screwdriver to just get underneath it and just to get it to move. So what I did is this. You see this lock ring right here. That lock ring right there, we need to hold that, because that's a snap ring. It just spins around in a groove down here. So what I did is I actually held it with a screwdriver on the one side so it wouldn't rotate, and I got underneath the other side with a screwdriver like this, and I pried it up. All right, and now we just take this and just pry it up all the way up like that. That. And now we're going to release our steering wheel lock ring depressor. Alright, we'll put this on the side for now. We're going to take our snap ring off. Don't lose it. And now we'll take this off. Now, if you're not sure, how it's going to go back on, now there really is only one way it can go back on, but if you're not sure, again, mark it with your marker, just like that, and then we'll take this lock plate off, like this. Right? There's all grooves inside here, so there really is only one way it can go back on. We're going to take this piece here off at the same time, just like that, and we know it goes in here like that. So if you're not sure how it goes back together, just stick it together like that. Be careful because there's grease on there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, we're going to take out these screws in here to remove the turn signal switch itself. There's a couple of Phillips head and there's a couple of Torx inside here. So let me get the Torx and we're going to continue. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to take out the 3 screws that actually hold the shifter lever and everything in. These are Phillips head. Now this should come off to the side just a little bit like that, just so we can gain access to the screw right down in here. That's a Torx bit down inside there, just so you know. So we're going to take out the 3 Torx now. Okay, and now our turn signal switch is loose. Now before we go any further, we're just going to stop right here. And we're going to go down underneath the bottom. Let me bring you in there, I'll show you where I mean. Okay. What we're going to do is, you see underneath here, this piece right here, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a 5/16 or an 8mm screw right there. We're going to unscrew that screw, and we're going to remove the plug. And that's, by doing that, is going to do 2 things. One, is going to loosen it up so we can actually get it to pull out. And 2, it's going to cut out all of the power going up into the steering column by unplugging everything. So we're just going to unscrew that screw. And this just comes out just like that. And now we're going to bring this over here. Now the one we're going to need to remove, we're going to get a pair of cutting pliers. We're going to snip this off right here. Alright, so then that's disconnected. Now, the one, we're going to take this piece out here as well. This just pulls right out like that. And now the one we're going to need to remove, it's going to be the thicker one. Right here. So, let's just take that. What we do is you come in here with a screwdriver, like this. Come in here, and right in the center, right there, there's a little clip that holds it. You get in here and you turn the screwdriver a little bit to push that clip off, and then we push that down, just like this, and it comes right out just like that. Now, this is the one that we're going to be removing from the car. Sometimes it's a little bit tough to get this thing through the steering column, so make it as straight as possible, just like that, so that way it pulls up and out. So, we're going to get in here with our little tiny screwdriver like this. And you just take it and you push that piece right out just like that, and we're just going to put it up here for now. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get in here, now we have all the power removed from this unit here so we can get in here with a scribe without doing any damage. Alright, so now I'll show you how it goes. This wiring harness here, we need to pull that up and out from underneath here. So it is a little bit tricky to get it out, but we're going to play with it so that we can do that. I'm going to play with it with my hand down here and then up on top as well, right here. You don't want to yank anything and damage it. Okay, now we'll grab our new one and we're going to reconnect it up. Now, before we replace it, it happens frequently, just match it up to make sure that everything is okay, that all the colors are correct, and that all the wiring, sometimes the colors will be different, but the wires are all in the correct location, which they are. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to lay this the way it's going to go back inside the column, like this. Now that is how it's going to go. So we want to have this wire straight. Now the way we're going to do it in, put it down here like this, and we'll just push it down, and that's where that screwdriver comes in handy to help us push it back down, just like that. And then we'll pull it out the bottom, and now we're going to take our switch and lay it back in the way that we took it out, just like that. Pull your wires from the bottom again, and then we'll line everything up. Just like that. And then we're going to put our 3 screws back in. Okay, now we're going to reattach our switch like this. Okay, and we know those were Phillips heads. Okay. Okay. Next thing we'll do is we're going to put our piece back on for the emergency flashers. It just snaps right in, and that's it. Now before we go any further here, we're going to go back down the bottom, and we're going to reconnect it down the bottom. Up here I'm talking about. We're just going to push that back in where it belongs, like that. That just protects the wires from rubbing up against the steering column. We're going to reinstall these pieces here. Now remember, this goes on here only one way it can go. Just like that. We're going to take our lock ring, put it over the top, and we're just going to push it down just a little bit. Now you can see that we can't get it down any further. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our steering wheel lock ring tool, and we're going to screw it on. Okay, so now we take our tool, put it on here like this. Alright, now we'll release our tool. next thing we're going to do, remember we had this piece here. We have to put that on like that, over the top of that lock ring. This piece here, we're going to put it back on. Remember to line up your dots up here. We're going to pull down just slightly underneath here. And then we'll pull it down. Make sure it goes over where it belongs, just like that. And then we're going to take our snap ring and put it on like this. Grab our snap ring pliers. Now you can use these snap ring pliers, or you can even just push it on by hand, whatever works for you. Sometimes by hand is easier than the snap ring pliers. We'll see how it goes, like that. And now we're going to push it down until it snaps back in place where it goes. It's very important that it snaps in place because you want to make sure it's locked in there. And you hear it snap. Okay? And now our snap ring should spin in the groove, which it does. Now it's just me, but this snap ring was down over on this side here, so that's the way I'm going to put it back on. So now everything up underneath here is reconnected. Next thing we're going to do now, we're going to put our steering wheel back on. Now the last thing we're going to do here is we're going to bring this back up here. We're going to put this back in where it was supported in there. We're going to take this piece here. It's a little tiny, like a keyway it has to fit into down there. And then once you feel it, you just push it in and rotate it, and it locks in. Okay, now once you have everything tight, then you're going to reconnect your airbag. You're going to take your plug and put it right back in where you previously removed it from. Now remember, we still have it disconnected down the bottom. Like that. Put our lock clip back in as well. Then we take our airbag. Lay it back in here like this. Then we just take the Torx bit. So that's it. Airbag is now tight. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do now, we have everything else back together. We're going to reconnect our airbag. Tough to do one-handed, but that's how it goes. You snap it in place, like that. We're going to put our lock clip back in as well, like that. We're going to reattach this where it was, up underneath here, like that. And now we're going to put our covers and everything back on the bottom here. I'm not going to show you that, but I'm going to put all these covers back on.